Well, everybody, new day. Got a little bit different thing going on today. So, what we have here is a 1983 Ford Ranger that we got. Didn't think too much things were wrong with it, so we were going to. Had a rear main seal leaking, the front seal was leaking, it was just leaking all over the place, so I figured, well, we'd change it. Well, we were going to change the oil in it one day, and the nephew that's driving it, he said, well, I know it's not supposed to be, but what's it mean when there's when the oil is white? And I said, that's not good, that's got water in it. So I go, it's probably got a blowed head gasket. So we pulled the engine out, opened it up, and lo and behold, I couldn't see anywhere where the head gasket has been blowed. So I took the heads in and had them checked. Sure enough, it had cracked head, or this engine here, this is it out of it. Had a cracked head, or I don't know. They found one crack in one head, and he goes, if this one's cracked, the other one's probably cracked. The valves were not seating, so I needed a valve job. So anyways, he said once that gets there, it starts getting expensive, and I go, yeah. So I go, well, I can find heads for $315 a piece. Remand, so I'll probably just go that way. So we decided, I go, you know, all the stuff I'm hearing, all these engines do is crack heads, and the emission stuff makes this thing, the head runs so hot that it's just not a, I mean, it's a good engine, but it's not a great engine, I guess. So I decided, instead of doing that, what if we just found another engine to stick in it, and we might as well just go newer. So what we did is I ended up buying a 1993 Ford Ranger wrecked with a 4.0 in it. So we are going to take this 4.0 engine and stick it in that 1983 Ford Ranger. For one reason, just to say we did it, and for the other reason, just because I got a few people that say it can't be done, and I'm going to prove them wrong. Because if you tell me it can't be done, I'll do it anyways. So anyways, that's what this project is going to be, and hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have this thing in that Ford Ranger and running. So that's what we got. That 83 Ford Ranger had a 5-speed manual behind it. I did luck out, this does have a 5-speed manual behind it, but this is 2-wheel drive and that is 4-wheel drive. At the current moment, I do not know if the back of them engines are the same. They are both Cloggin engines, but that is a smaller Cloggin and this is a bigger Cloggin, so I don't know if the bolt pattern is the same or not. If not, I know where there is a manual transmission that will bolt to the back of that. Granted, if the bell housing, I can't just use the bell housing and bolt our transmission onto it. But that is what we got. We got it in here yesterday. We rolled it in here. It does run. It does run. It fired up. I mean, it fired right up. I bought it with it saying it didn't run, or it was not a run and drive. So it did fire up. On that note, we shut it off and then tried to start it again, and now it just sits there and cranks. So I don't know what it is. It has the fuel pressure or fuel pump switch in underneath the dash there. We pushed that. That thing was already pushed. It never did get broke or popped, which either or. It does have some wires. I don't know if you can see them, but this thing right here, this thing, and it's got wires going back there. And I remember we had a Jeep Liberty that had one of those things that had a key type thing that you stuck into it, and it was like a anti-theft thing. If you take that out, it can't start, which didn't make any sense because it fired up. I mean, it didn't even turn 2 cranks and it fired. So I guess we'll find out if that's what's keeping it from running, if it actually does have that. So I gotta find them wires and see where the hell they go so I can disconnect all that crap. Anyways, more to come on this one. Alright, well, we did it again. It hooked the battery up this morning here. It fired up and it ran. No problems. Shut it off. Nothing. Just sit there and crank. Check to see if it had spark. Still has spark. But fuel pump's running, which is kind of weird. So it's got spark. It's got fuel pump. So the only other thing is it has this, had this thing screwed underneath the dash. And so I had one of these in a Jeep Liberty, I think, same thing, and it was mounted underneath the column on it, like right here. And it had a little thing that you plugged into it. It's like an anti-theft thing. So I cut the wires on it. I found them and they were up here, and basically these 2 wires splice into a wire up here. So I cut it off and wired it together. So we'll try that and see if that makes a run. I think that's probably what the problem is. Alright, back with you. Alright, we're going to try to start it again. Keep going. Keep it running. Take it out of gear. I had it fucking running. You got it in gear still? No. Rev it up a little bit. Alright, so it's running now. It was loaded up with gas. So we are going to attempt to shut it off and see if it'll start again. Yeah. So what it is that I think they called it an ITP sensor, and that is what was keeping it from running. So I cut it off and I bypassed it. So I think we have a good running vehicle now to put an engine in a older pickup now. I don't think there's any issues. No check engine light. Nothing. No check engine light. We bought a code reader to read it. There's no codes on the engine. So I believe we have a good running engine. All right, more to come. We got it to run, yes, but then I had some issues with it. It basically it started doing it again, so we decided to heck with it and we'll work on it on the other vehicle, trying to figure out what the heck the problem is with it for running. But when we pulled it out and pulled it back in, it fired right back up. So maybe it was kind of loaded up with gas, so I was hoping that's the problem. Anyways, I'm gonna try to pull this freaking motor out of this thing. I've seen some videos on deal, but they are ripping the whole top of this engine apart just to get this motor out of there, and I can't believe that you have to pull this whole top of this motor apart just to get this engine out of this pickup. So what I'm gonna do is, I think all the plugs for this engine wiring harness are right here behind the firewall, between the firewall and the engine, and that's where I'm gonna unplug it. And hopefully that's all I have to unplug these, and then I can just pull this whole motor out like that, intact. So we did that. We're labeling stuff and get it off of here so we know where it goes when we put it back in. I got we took the bed off the back of it to get to the fuel tank. So as soon as we get this engine out, we will start in disassembling the inside of here to get all the wires out of the inside of this thing. And then I guess we'll see what I can eliminate and what I can't. So that is what we're doing today. I need to get this fan off, but I don't have the correct tools to get the fan off, so hopefully we can get it off somehow. But anyways, that's here nor there. So that's what we're doing. So I will be back with you here. All right, everybody, we got everything disconnected. So you got two O2 sensors in the back of this engine you have to unplug. And then you have all the rest of the wiring harness is right here plugged in. Right here on the side of your Ford Ranger. You have these 4 plugs right here. And then one power lead going to this solenoid right here. Okay. Keep coming. Back up. So that is what you got. So we are gonna hook the chains on this thing and pull it out. Oh fuck. What's that? This fucking master cylinder. How do we get that off? No. Forgot to replace or unhook the master cylinder line. Back at it. Clear over here. Motor is out. So here's your two sensor wires right here. You got to unplug. I unplugged this wire, but it didn't need to be unplugged because it's attached to the transmission. But if you're taking transmission, you got to unplug that wire too. Disconnect these from the bell housing. And then your other wires are right here. All right, time to disassemble the rest of it. I'll be back with you. All right, well, we got the 83 Ranger back in here now. I have everything out of that 93 Ford Ranger that I think we're gonna need. So now I guess we will commence to sticking everything in this one. There's the motor and transmission. We're gonna get the dash and stuff out of this one so we can get the wires for the dash in here. And hopefully everything goes together like we need it to go. I gotta pull a fuel tank out. I'm gonna put the 93 fuel tank in here. So that'll be what's gonna be in here. And keep on going here. So more back at you here. All right, well, we got the dash out of this. That sun's kind of screwing with you. Hang on a minute, let me shut the door. Anyways, had the dash out. All the wires out of the 83. So now I guess we'll start wiring it back up. I really don't know what that is. Means this doesn't have a EFI engine in it. Never did. So I don't know what that thing is. But anyways, we got to get that out of there. So that's where we're at. So we'll get the other wires in here and start running them. Hopefully I don't have to drill too many holes in this thing. But we'll see here shortly. So that's where we're at. I'll be right back with you. All right, everybody. Well, so this is what we have with this 83 Ford Ranger, and this is what we're doing to this 83 Ford Ranger. We are taking all the interior, well, most of the interior out of the 93, and we are sticking it into this 83. So as it currently sits right this moment, the pedal assembly steering column bracket, that one right there that you're seeing, is out of the 93. The little white tabs up here are out of the 93. And there's the dash out of the 93. Now, ironically enough, the first gen Ford Rangers and Explorers and it's looking like the second gen Ford Rangers pretty much are all the same. So the brackets up here that held the original dash were in the wrong spot. Matter of fact, there it is here. This is where originally it had one there. It did have some here, but they were just not close enough together. The ones in the middle weren't close enough together, so I had to cut those off, and I welded those ones in there. So I cut these out of the 93 cab, and then I welded them in here. This thing had a bracket, this for the steering column here. This is the support piece for the steering column here. It was right there. So I cut the spot welds off of that and pulled that off. There's the old pedal assembly out of the Ford Ranger. The only thing I gotta do is I gotta drill one hole right here, and I'm gonna go through that hole right there to hold the bolt, and I'm gonna bolt it right there. That's the only thing left. This bracket right here is off the 93. There's another bracket that bolts here and goes down to here. Everything lines up. The heater, AC unit, they're all the same. So the heater and AC unit out of the 93 is going in this one just because it's newer. All the wiring out of the 93 is going in this 83. So there is no guesswork. You just unplug everything, pull all the wires out, put it all in this one, plug everything back in, everything should work. We're taking the fuel tank out of the 93. Well, we already did. We took the fuel tank out of the 93. We're putting it in this one. I might have to build a bracket for it, but looking at it right this moment, it doesn't look like I'm gonna have to put a bracket on it, build any brackets. I'll probably just use the 83 brackets. If anything, I might, there is a cross member that goes right here on that 93 that the 93 had, that they had, and it had a different way that thing was clamped up in there. But anyways, that gives me my fuel pump. All the wiring is going to plug in. The only difference is on the 93, and I think I found the deal. You can get the kit for a tow package, and basically you plug that in, because the 93 tail lights have a brake light and a turn signal light, where the 83s only have the brake and the turn signal light are the same light. So by putting a tow package wiring harness, you can use those wires for the tail lights, the brake and tail or turn signal lights. That'll put it back to a single light instead of trying to figure that out. And I'm not figuring that out. I could probably figure it out, but I'm not going to. So that is what we're doing here. I have gutted everything out of that. We have gutted everything out of that 93 to stick in here. And I did not know if it was gonna fit until I got the dash out of this one. And we picked that dash up right there, and I set that sucker up there, and it fits like it's supposed to be in there. There is no difference. I mean, pretty much all the bolts line up. This bolt here, the only thing is over there in that corner where it bolts to that side piece right there, I'll have to put a couple holes in it to bolt that to it, but it all will hook up and bolt to this body style. So hopefully that helps anybody out that's thinking about doing this, how much of a hassle it is. It is a little bit of a hassle, but it's not as much as you would think. So granted, most people probably wouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing this. So the only thing is with this pickup, maybe people are asking why. For one thing is, it's a 1983, and there isn't an ounce of rust on this thing anywhere. And I can't figure out why. The only rust there is in the floorboard right here. And that's to be expected from getting in and out with wet feet, and they just sits there and soaks and soaks and soaks, and it just pretty much ate through right there. But as far as the fenders, the bed, nothing has rusted out. The bed's not bent up on this pickup. It's just a good straight pickup other than the ding in the front fender on the other side. But other than that, this thing is not in that bad a shape. So basically what we're doing here is we're gonna have a 1993 running gear minus the transmission, because I am using the old transmission out of this. 1993 on the interior here, and an 83 body. So that's what we got. So more to come on this one. We'll get this in here, and hopefully by tonight we'll have this thing wired in the dash in tonight. I hope. I'm not holding my breath on it. But there is a little bit of work doing this, but it's not terrible bad like you would think it would be. I've done stuff a lot worse than this. This is actually pretty easy. So that's where I just thought I should show you guys what you can do. So there you go. Be back.